This is Cydni.
And I'm Sher. And each week we get together to share with you a message of hope.
It is through our own study and our personal experiences that we offer the reminder to not only seek the light,
but be the light. You can find peace, and there is hope.
And as long as one of us is slightly caffeinated, there will be laughter.
Today's topic is sacred spaces.
And we're so glad you're here.
I'm forging my way through the tip top. I'm living my life through the drip drop.
All right, Cydni, are you ready to talk about sacred spaces?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Sacred spaces. Immediately, I think of when you put your kids in the car, in their car seats, and then you shut all doors and you have time to walk by yourself from one side of the car to the other in silence. I think that's sacred.
That is a really good example. You get that little bit of peace, the solace.
Get a chance to pep talk. You can do this. You can drive when a nugget hits your head. It's okay if they throw a shoe out the door.
It's all good.
Well, maybe a window.
Yeah, not
reckless
the door.
If the door was
would
open.
be, yeah, that's true. That'd be a little scary.
But minivans, it's possible for that to happen. When I was growing up, the minivan didn't have the sensor on it. So all of us had fingers smashed in the minivan.
Oh.
Every one of us, at least once. When we had a minivan, I would tell my kids, you don't know how good you have it. You've never had your hand smashed in a minivan door. You have sensors now, but we are stronger. So maybe it was a good thing.
We never had a minivan. We just got the regular door shut, finger smashed.
We had an Astro van. It was the nicest car we had at the time, and it was white. And my mom put our last name on the back of it. And then there was a pig to represent each of us, including my brother who had passed away. He was a pig that was flying. Extremely high class.
I just wish I could have seen it. That would have been great.
I drove it to prom.
You did?
Yeah.
So do you have pigs on your car now?
No, we try not to say the P word in our house. That's from the past. That is not a sacred place to me. It is to my dad. And I respect that. He's wanted to be a pig farmer since he was in third grade. And so I really respect that. He accomplished his goal from third grade. How many of us can say that? What
Not
did you
many.
want to be in third grade?
Oh, of course I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay, so you and my dad, you're slaying it.
I have no idea. I don't remember what I wanted to be in third grade. Who knows?
I can't remember either.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Probably famous. I'll show you parents. I'm going to be famous when I'm older. And you could have those pigs on the back of your minivan. Everyone knows our last name now. Ugh.
Did you get called the Crockett pigs?
No, I didn't get teased about pigs.
That's good.
My brothers did.
Your brothers did, but you didn't?
Right.
Well, how'd you get out of that one?
I think it was because I cried fast. People didn't want to deal with it. My brothers fought back. So people were like, oh yeah. And I was like, I'm so sad. Anyway, it's fine. It's also in the past. I'm so grateful for the pig farm.
So we were talking about sacred spaces.
And then that's
not
where
it.
my mind went.
I liked the walk around the minivan, but somehow it went dark. Now we have the difference between sacred space and not sacred space.
Correct.
So I'm going to share with you, I had AI write a poem about sacred spaces. Are you ready?
I'm so excited for this.
It's beautiful, really. Again, this was written by AI. In sacred spaces, hearts find peace. In temples, homes, or by the seas, where love and solace intertwine, the sacred dwells in every line. Huh? How was that?
AI is good.
AI coming in hot with the poetry right there.
I
That was
know.
beautiful.
We've decided they don't need us humans anymore. I told you I was going to write one to combat them
Yeah.
because, I'm competitive.
Right.
I don't want an AI to do a better job.
No, it should never outwit you.
But there's a few things that I was thinking about. One, AI is not going to be ADD like me, I think, unless you ask it to. It would. What would that even look like?
I don't know. I should try that.
Please try.
Yes.
Write an ADHD poem about.
I'll put it in right now.
Okay, you put that in. We'll pause. Pause.
Here it is. You ready?
Yes.
Sacred spaces, my thoughts awhirl, ADHD's chaos, an untamed pearl. In the midst of sacred grace, my mind's a frenzied, sacred place. Was that you?
No, that was terrible. I still have hope. I'm so much better at being ADHD than chat. Well, while you were doing it, I wrote mine.
Oh, good. I can't wait.
Okay, hold on. Let me read it so I don't mess it up. Welcome to my sacred place. Kindly please remove your face and leave. That
was beautiful.
Thanks. I just read it right the second.
I would never have guessed. It's so deep and meaningful.
I know.
My heart and soul have been touched by that beauty. I especially like the part where you said to get out of my face. I really like that a lot.
Because sometimes you need that.
Yeah, but I'm a little worried you're talking to me.
No. I mean,
Get out of my face.
I'm directly looking
Sher,
at you
yeah,
right the second.
I don't know why I would think that.
All right, let's focus, Sher. Let's talk about what's important, what we came here to discuss. Sacred space.
Well, I'm going to start with the AI poem. I'm going to go back to the first one that is beautiful.
Bring that devil in.
I'm going to bring it in. It talks about it's a place where hearts find peace, love, and solace. And a sacred space can be in different locations because it said it could be in temples, homes, or by the seas. And it's also sacred. And I think that is the most important part, is that it's a sacred place. I found actually a real definition. I thought this was really good. In sacred spaces, we find spiritual refuge, renewal, hope, and peace. They are places where we meet the divine and find the spirit of the Lord. I love that.
I love it too.
I think it's important to have that sacred space right now because the world is bat crap crazy. Can I say that?
Bat crap?
Bat crap crazy?
Sure. You can say whatever you want. This is our podcast.
Okay, because it is. And there are so many places where chaos is reigning. So I think it's really important that all of us have a place of peace just to combat the world. And I think it's important that, again, going back to the real definition, it's a place of refuge, renewal, hope, and it's a place where we can find the spirit of the Lord. When I was little, we had this awesome tree in the backyard, and I loved it. It was the perfect climbing tree. It wasn't too high, and it was easy to crawl around in. It was just great. And my friends and I, we had our own special branch, and we called it our rooms. I, of course, had the master suite. Everyone is like clutching on to the branch to hang on to it, and I was just chilling in this master suite. It was pretty awesome.
Well done.
Thank you. You know, people would complain about it, and I'm just like, it's my house, my tree, my master suite. You can just clutch your fingernails into the branch and hope you don't fall, right?
I think so. I don't see the problem at all.
Thank you. Anyway, this little spot in my tree became my refuge. It became my safe place as a child. If I was sad or mad or just having a hard time, I could go out into this tree branch, and I always felt such peace out there. I loved being outside. I loved being in the backyard, and I always just felt so calm. And even as I got older, when I was a teenager, I found myself going out there every once in a while just to sit there so that I could calm down and kind of recenter myself. That tree became a very important part of my life because without realizing what I was creating, I really was creating a sacred space as a child. Now, as an adult, your sacred spaces are probably going to look and be a little bit different
than a tree.
But it could be a tree.
You don't want to fall and hurt yourself.
I'd probably fall out now, and that would not be good. Be sad, actually. But it could still be out in nature. I know for me, I love being outdoors. I always feel more at peace outside. But my home is a sacred space. And when I taught, my classroom was a sacred space. Our family has some property, and that is definitely a sacred place. Being at church, being in the temple, being with good friends and family, listening to good music. I always find a lot of peace listening to music. And then lately, I have found that being at my parents' grave is a sacred space to me. It makes me feel better being there.
My favorite part of your quote is that it says it's the space where we meet the divine. And that's going to mean different things to different people. But it made me think immediately of Moses when he is told to build a tabernacle with the promise that if he builds it, that the Lord would come and he would commune with him. While I was preparing, I had the thought that if we create sacred spaces, then that will make room for sacred things to happen in our life. And Moses and the tabernacle, my kids and I recently got to be part of the traveling tabernacle. They set it up what it looked like originally, which was a really cool experience. And my two littlest kids, we got to stand outside the gates of the tabernacle. And we got to talk about that during the day there was a cloud that would stay over the temple and it would protect them. It would protect them from the heat and from storms. It was always there to protect them. And then at night, there was a pillar of fire that gave them light.
I love what you just said, especially keying in on it's where we meet the divine and find the Spirit of the Lord. I think it's so beautiful that the children of Israel were wandering in the desert for 40 years, and they were able to find that sacred space. So literally, your sacred space can be anywhere. It's a place for you to calm down, find peace, and to meet the divine Spirit of the Lord. And that's something I think is really important. It doesn't have to be necessarily a certain location, but it's somewhere that you can go to every single day to just feel that love and peace from God.
That's such an important point. I'm so glad you said it that way. And also going off of what you said, it's not just that they found one, but they created one.
Yes.
And that reminds me that when I started therapy, which apparently I'm talking about a lot these days, people are going to know I'm not perfect. Dang it. So when you begin trauma therapy, they have you start with finding in your mind a safe place or a sacred place, I suppose you could say. When I did this, I had a really interesting experience because I had never created a safe place or a sacred place in my mind before. And so it took a little while for me to come up with one. She said that it needed to be a place where I would feel calm, where whatever thoughts appeared, there was no judgment, that I just let it be. A place where you could observe and not get freaked out about what's going on. I tried to come up with a place and everything was kind of feeling wrong. Like that wasn't the right place. This isn't the right place. And I was seeking for a place. Finally, I decided that my safe place would be up in the mountains. She told me to pick a specific place, a place that I'd been before in the mountains, if that's what I chose, but I needed to be able to see it so clearly so that when, if ever, I needed to during a session, go there to feel safe and collect myself, I could. So I picked a secret lake at the top of a canyon. It looks like a painting. It is beautiful.
It does. It's gorgeous.
I love it. I did not think I was going to have to use it. I was like, other people have to use a safe place, but I'm not going to. But then the day came that I did need a safe place. So she reminded me, go to your sacred place and collect yourself. So I tried and I could not get myself to go there. And it was not working. I thought maybe I was doing it wrong. And I tried because you're supposed to be grounded, your feet down, chest up, shoulders back, breathe, which it's crazy how much you forget to breathe sometimes. But I was just struggling. And then I relaxed. And when I relaxed, something happened. My own subconscious took me to a safe place that I had not thought about. And I ended up in my very own living room. I had this incredible experience where I thought my safe place would be. It was not. My safe place was where I live now, with the people I am with now. And the important part about this is that it's not just my house. And in my vision, it was clean, by the way. Maybe that will come true one day. But what I felt was that day by day, moment by moment, I've been building a safe and sacred place. That I have a family that we spend time together, that we put in effort and work to create a home that feels safe and loving. Not perfect, but it feels good to be there. And it's where I want to be. And it gave me hope for this inner child of mine that no matter what your life has ever looked like or what you grew up in, it doesn't matter. That you have the power now to create the space and a sacred place that you want and that you deserve. And from then on out, whenever I needed to go to a safe or sacred place, it was always my house with my family.
That is perfect. And really, that's how it should be. All of us have that power to create and build that sacred space in our homes. And sometimes it might take a little longer for people to get there and to do that, but it is possible. That's beautiful and just perfect. So this actually leads us to the question, how can we create and protect our sacred spaces? So again, because I got on an AI kick this last week, I asked AI how to create a sacred space. So here is advice from AI. Choose a location, clear and clean. In your vision, your home was clear and clean. So that worked. It was
good job, chat.
Personalize it, consider lighting, use comfortable seating, include natural elements, set an intention. So you're going to say, this is my sacred space. Keep it sacred, regular maintenance, and use it regularly, which I think is really good advice. I think all of that is really good. But for me personally, it was missing the most important part. I found a letter from Abigail Adams to John Adams. This was written in June of 1775. and it was during and right after the Battle of Bunker Hill. Abigail Adams was in Boston, Massachusetts when all of this was going down, but John, her husband, was not there. And because she's important to the American Revolution movement, she was actually hiding, she and her children, in the home of their friends. Also, she had just heard rumors that one of their good friends, Dr. Joseph Warren, had been killed in the battle, and she's hoping that it's not true, but unfortunately it was. So this letter she wrote, and I love it. It's beautiful because she's going to mix several scriptures together with her own words. And this is what she wrote to her husband, John Adams. The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but the God of Israel is he that giveth strength and power unto his people. Trust in him at all times. Ye people, pour out your hearts before him. God is a refuge for us. Now, look at how she just referred to God. So the missing ingredient that AI didn't add was turning to God. After she says, God is a refuge for us, she says, Charlestown is laid in ashes. So she's seen all of this horrible destruction, but she is turning to God. She goes on, 'tis expected, they will come out over the neck tonight. She's referring to the British soldiers. And a dreadful battle must ensue. Almighty God, cover the heads of our countrymen, and be a shield to our dear friends. How many have fallen we know not. The constant roar of the cannon is so distressing that we cannot eat, drink, or sleep. May we be supported and sustained in the dreadful conflict. I love this letter because God is her refuge, and these are some of the words she used. God is her refuge, her trust, cover our heads and be a shield, be supported and sustained. Which I just have been thinking about events that have been happening this last week and how important it is that when some people in the world choose chaos, that we choose to find refuge in God. And this actually reminded me of another scripture, John 14:27, where it says, peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. And I love that because your sacred space can be right in your soul. Let not your heart be troubled. Your refuge is with God, and you know what? He can go anywhere with us. I can have God anywhere I go. When I'm lost in the wilderness, God can be with me. He can come and find me. When I'm in a place that is a little chaotic, I can turn to God and find that peace. And I just love that letter. And I loved her example of being in a terrible situation and just pouring her heart out to God because she knew that's where her refuge would be.
I really like that. This week, we had a situation in our home that was really challenging because my oldest son, his assistant coach for lacrosse, he was hit by a drunk driver and he was killed. So when you share that scripture, it made me think of our conversation we had that night, which was really hard. And for someone who can talk a lot, me, I had a really difficult time talking to him. It's fine to say it's going to be okay. I love you. But I prayed that I could please say or help Rock as best as I could because his heart was completely shattered. I told him that something came and knocked on his door that he was not interested in, that has really disrupted and devastated our community and has broken a lot of hearts. Sometimes there's just not the right words to say. And there's not much you can do, except for one thing. You could take this opportunity and go to the real source for peace. That at his young age of 13, that he can get on his knees and he can pray for comfort, that he can pray for peace, that he can pray for those who are greatly affected, and that it will work and it will help. I felt like that was the best I could offer. But then I also thought to myself, that's the only thing there is to offer, that there really is a real peace that is found going to God. We don't always get an answer immediately, and it doesn't make things perfect, but there is comfort to know that there is a source of peace and that we do have access to it whenever we are ready and willing.
I think that's perfect because going back to the beginning, our sacred place, we can choose to have it in a physical location, but we can also choose to have it in our heart or both, but we can take that with us wherever we go and we can have that comfort and solace with us.
I've had a few thoughts about this. I was watching a video that was shared on like one of those Upworthy Instagram posts about a woman who, for her culture, the way that she braided her hair. And she said, things you don't know about when we braid our hair and how important our hair is that while we're braiding our hair, we put good thoughts and energy into every movement. I thought that was so beautiful because we are walking around with who we are and what we look like. But if you actually spent time putting in the thoughts into your space, how different that made me look at a braid.
Seriously, because I don't ever have good thoughts when I'm
braiding your hair.
No, or doing anything with my hair. I'm always just like, what is this hotness?
You are wearing a beanie right now, so. But those are trendy, I think.
I am so trendy.
But I thought it really does show if you put work into things, then you can create and build something so beautiful, which made me think of cathedrals. I looked up how long it took to build some cathedrals. Something I liked in the videos and whatnot that I watched is that so often it was mentioned by one person or another that it's really important to remember when cathedrals were being built that they spent just as much time on making the outside beautiful as they did on the inside. And I really loved that thought. And it's true. As someone who has recently been to Paris.
Oh, not this again. We have to go back to the Paris. Oh, no.
And so I have been in Paris as a cultured woman. We spent a lot of time in cathedrals.
My gosh, stop.
And you could see them from across the city. And they stand out. They're beautiful. Then when you go in, they're even more beautiful, which when you look at us, I hope that you know that we're trying.
I don't think there was much effort today, actually, by either of us. No, I don't. But
that's why this is a podcast and not a video.
I mean, I know the beanie, it's just covering stuff up that would otherwise be sticking up in the air.
That does remind me, I feel like though this week has been incredibly heavy in our personal life and on the news, I did feel a little bit of hope because I saw a man put a whole mask on his head, a black mask, like you're going to rob a bank. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, I bet he's going to get ready for skiing soon. And I was like, you know what? I have not given up. He's probably going to rob something right now. But I first thought that man's going to go skiing.
He's going to go skiing. That's a good attitude.
So it just gave me a little bit
That's what I'm doing. I'm getting ready to go skiing in just a second.
I'm not. But back to what everyone's been waiting for. How long did it take to build cathedrals?
They're all on pins and needles.
I know. I'm fascinated too. There's 3 that I'm going to tell you about because there's 3 in this article. The first one is the Cologne Cathedral in Germany. This one took 632 years to build.
How long?
632.
That's not a short amount of time.
You're correct. Also, there's the St. Vitus Cathedral, took 585 years. And that one, there was a war that prevented it to be built. And so there was a pause. There was also fire damage to half of it.
Good
and
grief.
They kept going. They had to redo it. And then there's the Milan Cathedral.
This is perseverance. This isn't taking just a short time.
And if you look these up, they're beautiful. The Milan Cathedral, I found to be stunning. It's worth looking up. I don't know if you already know what it looks like, but I didn't.
I don't think I do.
Well, it has 135 spirals in it, and it has 3,300 statues in it, and it took 579 years to build.
That's a lot of years, Cydni.
And so there's a purpose in me telling you this. I just wanted you to know how informed I was about cathedrals since I've been to Paris. But really, I felt like it's really important to consider the time and the effort that was put into these, that one person started and others came in. Also, I thought of this, that there was different times where the cathedrals had to pause the process of being built. Like it said, war or fire. And I thought, how many times in our life does it feel like what we've tried to build has completely crumbled? And we have to have the courage to keep going and to build. But I felt like I bet it was built even better than what they had originally planned. Not just beauty-wise, but also with the idea in mind that a fire could catch. So they had to protect it better and they had to put more thought into it. And I thought so many times we have things that completely damage us and our sacred spaces, but then we go forward with a little bit more defense and a little bit more protection. But we're not alone. There is a cloud and a fire to protect us and to be with us at all times, if we allow it. And then I also thought when it says in the Milan Cathedral that there's 135 spirals and over 3,000 statues, what about our lives? How many heartaches and how many tears have gone into building our own sacred spaces? How many heart throbs? How many positive things, how many good interactions, how many relationships that are positive and negative that have gone into our building our own sacred place. And just like these cathedrals, they didn't stop. They did not quit. They kept going. And then speaking of cathedrals, chapels still, the St. Paul's Chapel in New York, in 1776, there was the Great Fire of New York, and it destroyed 1/3 of New York, but it did not touch this chapel. And in September 2001, they're right across the street were the Twin Towers. And this chapel was one of the only buildings still standing. If you look up the stories behind it, they're beautiful because that church was open to all of the servicemen and women who came in for refuge. They rested, they slept, they were given new boots at that location. They came, they prayed, and they just found peace. And I thought, isn't this the most perfect example that when everything around us is crumbling and it doesn't make sense and it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel fair, that there's still a place of refuge if you want.
That was beautiful. Going back to 9/11, I do remember that day. My parents were actually on one of the last flights that flew out of Boston before everything shut down completely. And I remember being at work, and then as things kind of pieced together of what happened, I didn't go to my house after work that day. I went to my parents' home. And I just remember walking into their home and feeling that peace, like everything's okay here. I was so grateful that my parents were home because they were so close to being on the wrong plane. And I was so grateful to be able to hug my mom and just know that they had created that sacred place for not only me, but for everyone in our family. And that's exactly what you're doing, Cydni, is you're creating that sacred space for you and Ben and your children. It's the same thing. And it's so beautiful to have that. And I think that if you're fortunate enough to have that, your home as your sacred space, I think that you just won the lottery. That's amazing. But if you don't have that, just like we've been saying, you can take it with you. You can create it someplace else. You can always create it within your heart.
And you can create it when you're older as well. If a youth is listening, if your home life is not what you want it to be, then what do you want? And create that. Do your best to head in that direction. And we do tell that to our children all the time. We tell them, we are two imperfect humans who are trying our best. And please take from the opportunity of living with us and decide what you like about us and our marriage and our home and what you don't like, and then make it better. And I think that's okay to feel that way. And it's okay to tell our children that you can have it better than this. We're trying. Please forgive us. And I'm not paying for therapy because my parents aren't paying for therapy. So you're on your own with that one. But you can create the life that you want. You can create the space that you want. We have seen time again, especially stories from the Holocaust, that so many of the survivors, they found a place of refuge in their own hearts and their own minds that helped them to keep going. And we have to do that in our day too, that it's really easy to get caught up in the negativity going on or the heartache. In our own day, we have to also have the tools to go to sacred places, stand in holy places, no matter where you are.
I'm really glad that you said that about talking to your children about how to create that sacred space, because as a teacher and working with children that did not have necessarily a sacred space at home, I think it is important for adults that have their crap mostly together to remember to reach out and help others who don't have that. It's important for us as people that want to follow light to be that light to help bring people to us. We want to, honestly, this last little bit of news of the week has just been horrifying. And it is important for people that have the light of Christ within them, that have the Spirit of the Lord, that believe in a God, that we help create that refuge for people that need a place to go to. And that could be the neighbor across the street or one of your kids' friends. They need to have that refuge. They need to see the light because people will run from the darkness when they see the light. And that is important, that just good people that believe in treating each other kindly and with respect, that we reach out and we help people and show them a better way, that there is light in the world and we need to shine it brighter and brighter so we can chase that darkness out.
I think we've done a good job talking about having a sacred space. And I would say from my own experience that one of the first steps in creating your own sacred space is to clear out what doesn't need to be in there. That could be negative thoughts or deep core lies that you've believed your whole life. It's time to do some fall cleaning in our minds.
Get some house cleaning going on.
Yes.
That's what I need to do.
Get a dumpster. And I was thinking about this, and obviously, since I'm such a avid sports human, I thought of basketball.
Of course you did.
And I thought, how many times when you see on the basketball game, nobody plays basketball.
Really good. That's really
Ben is going to
good.
divorce me. Okay. I'm sorry, Ben. He loves basketball.
I'm going to divorce
You're
you.
New partner. All right. So when somebody is trying to make an important free throw, I played basketball. Can you tell? It was very bad. I was on the bench a lot. I mostly remember drinking my friend Bonnie's lemonade a lot, and she'd be like, "Can you not drink all of it?" I'm like, "It's so good."
Well, that's all that matters. Still your friend's lemonade.
Still
drink it
from-
up. It's okay.
It's fine.
Why she plays basketball.
Why she actually got playing time. Well, I am like 5'2" almost, so weird that it didn't happen for me. But as someone who sat on the bench and watched, when there's an important shot to make, the fans for the other team, the opposing team behind the shot, they're crazy. They're like trying to distract and trying to cause chaos and noise. And it made me think of Satan, that when we're trying to clean up our space or when we're trying to get answers to really deep questions that we have, that there's distraction, there's chaos, and there's loud noise. We can say no to that. Just like the NBA player, you might know his name, the one that always would say, "Not in my house."
Dikembe Mutombo. Finger
Not
wagging
in my
on.
house.
Yeah.
Ben actually would talk about this. So that's why I know, not because I actually watched it. But I do enjoy going to a basketball game in person if there's food.
Of
But-
course. And I'm sorry that I just wagged my finger in front of
I'm
your
gonna do it.
face. I know I had my finger right in your
Because
face.
it's a full energy thing.
I guess so. I apologize for that. Thank you for not getting mad at me.
I'm not mad.
Okay,
No,
good.
no. I'm in a sacred space all of the time. I did think how this NBA situation's bringing it all together for me, that the people who want you to fail, who want to cause chaos, who want to be distracting so that you cannot succeed, you get to say, "Not in my house" to them.
Ooh, I like that.
And I like it too.
Gives you an attitude, a little edge. You feel like you have control over the situation.
Right.
I like that.
You can tell that when they're about to take a shot, the crowd's not getting to them. They calm down, they square their shoulders, they do some breaths, they do their little routine, whatever it is, like 3 dribbles on one hand, 3 dribbles on the other, and you get in your place and then you take the shot. We have to have some attitude and some energy because others will walk all over us. They will distract us. It will get loud. It will be chaotic, but we can't just quit and go sit on the bench. We've got to take our shots. We got to get out there and play, and we've got to take care of our sacred space so that we have the space and capacity to do it, so that we have a place to meet the divine no matter where we are.
That was really good. And I love the attitude because I think we do need a little bit more attitude when it comes to protecting our sacred spaces and saying, "Not in my house." I love that. Our final thoughts today is take some advice from ChatGPT. Choose a location, clear and clean, personalize it. Consider the lighting, use comfortable seating, include some natural elements, set an intention, keep it sacred, regular maintenance, and use it regularly. Also, for me, I find great comfort in what Abigail Adams wrote to her husband, John Adams. In your sacred location, trust in him. God is our refuge. Let not your heart be troubled. In your sacred space, invite God. And then going back to the AI poem from the beginning, this is a place where your heart should be able to find peace, where it should be able to find love and solace. And personally, for me, this comes from my Savior. So I want to invite him into my sacred space. It can be in different locations based on individuals, and you can create it however you want. The Savior will meet us in our wilderness. He'll meet you at home. He'll meet you in your tree in the backyard. The Savior is willing to meet you wherever you want that sacred space to be, even if it's in your heart. And remember to keep it sacred, because this is where we meet the divine and find the Spirit of the Lord.
And as we get rid of distractions and as much chaos as we can, then we will have space to have sacred things happen in our life. We will create a space to meet the divine. And I really do love the cathedrals and church stories. There's so many. I only shared a few, but there are others. There's the St. Russian Orthodox Church in Alaska. On Good Friday in 1964, the largest earthquake hit. Between the tsunami and the earthquake that hit the town, only one structure stood, and it was that church.
Did you know that I've been there?
I did not.
I have.
Yeah?
You go to Paris, I go to Anchorage.
I'm going to have to hold on to Paris forever because we really just go to Chick-fil-A a lot. We find our sacred space in line at Chick-fil-A when they're so nice and give us sauce and tell us it's been a pleasure for us to be there today.
You know, I think that pretty much sums up our personalities. You, Paris, me, Anchorage.
It does.
It is.
It really does. That's funny.
So if you want to know the personalities of us, that's it.
Yeah. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are.
Bringing the world together.
That's right.
So there's that church withstood an earthquake and a tsunami. And then there's also a church, the St. Patrick Church in Chicago. It survived in 1871, the Chicago fire. So my thought behind this is that as we put forth effort to make space for the divine to meet us, then we are putting ourselves in a position and in a space to have access to God's full power. He has protected these church buildings, which is an awesome story, but how much more does he care about us individually, his children? So much more. He will protect us. He will guide us. And when I think about some of the words today that we've used helped, guidance, instruction, supported, sustained. We've used so many words that talk about what happens when you create a sacred space. We are not alone. And when we have opportunities to have sacred things happen in our life, we have opportunities to experience miracles and peace when it feels like there is no hope.
That's perfect. I love what you just said because we are God's children and he does love us and he does want to help us create that refuge. He would love to be there with us.
And we challenge you this week to create a sacred space, a place you can go when you're feeling stressed out that you can report to and find peace, even if it's driving, that you can pause and calm down, keep your eyes open when you're driving. But if you're not driving and it's at home, and some people suggest creating a little corner of your home to this dedicated space. So you could have a physical space at home that you can go to before the kids are up or people are around and just meditate, find peace and calmness. We challenge you to create a sacred space. And then for 11 or 21 or 40 days in a row, visit that sacred space and get good at visiting it because chances are we're going to need it in the coming years.
Good luck with the challenge. Have a good week.
I'll tell you where my sacred space isn't. Freaking laundry room is the least sacred space. The garage, I just cleaned it and it's still unsacred.
Don't go there.
Don't go to those places.
Don't choose out. I'll be back.
I'm forging my way through the tip top. I'm living my life through the drip, drip, drop. When he turns